So we'll be going to audience questions. The only thing that I would say is what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to, you can line up if you want, you're going to have to pose the question so all city council candidates can answer the question. So you're not directing the question to one person. And so you're asking a basic question. Each city council candidate will be answering the same question. All right? Yeah,
Fair enough.
Go ahead, thanks.
Hello. My question, since there seems to be some difference of opinion on carbon neutrality, is kind of two quick questions and maybe an opinion. One is, do you believe in climate change? Two is climate change man-made? And three is projects such as the solar panels on the community center or other similar projects where they're environmentally favorable but don't cost any more money or have a payback like the solar panels on the community center. Would you favor those if the costs are close to the same?
Okay, Stacy, you're next up.
All right. Thank you, Ira, for that question. I do believe in climate change. I do believe there are man-made contributions to climate change. And I was part of the council that approved the solar panels at our community center. It made financial sense for our community. We found out the payback would be approximately 11 years with a 25 to 30-year lifespan with many, many more years of opportunity once we could expand and add some batteries to it and help us in the event of any kind of emergency. So those are projects that I would support. It has to make financial sense, but it can also benefit the environment at the same time. Thank you.
Thanks, Stacy. Matt?
Thank you, Al. Thank you, Ira. The first question is, do I believe in climate change, and is climate change real, and is it man-made? I am not a climate scientist, so I can only understand what I actually read. As far as it's being man-made or not, that I still is kind of up in the air. But to answer your third question is that as far as the solar panels, I'm a businessman. So if the numbers make sense, the numbers make sense. So I support it no matter what. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Mary?
Yeah, first of all, I'd just like to point out that we don't even have a carbon neutral goal in Hermosa Beach anymore. We have a carbon reduction goal. I know I'm not the first one to say that, but I think it's really important because there's been a lot of contention around this issue. We are following the best practices of the most forward-thinking communities in this country. I believe in science, first and foremost. I do believe in the climate change science that I have been exposed to, and I do believe that the science has indicated that it is definitely contributed by man-made purposes. So couldn't be maybe more blatant and clear about that. As far as solar panels or other energy efficiency projects, it just makes no sense whatsoever to me that any business or community anywhere wouldn't consider these emerging technologies and smart, healthy, safe, superior forms of the future energy equation. Would not be something that would be considered. It has to pencil out. It has to add to the community financially and from a position of health, safety, and wellness. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Haney?
So I do believe in climate change. I do believe that it man-made operations facilitate it or increase it. And I am one of the 4 council members that voted for the solar panels on the community center, so obviously I supported it, and I was out there and took a tour of the solar panels, and since then I've actually went to our city website a couple of times to evaluate the production. You can go into our city website, and right on the left-hand side you just can click and see how much power production those solar panels are providing. And as Matt mentioned, I'm a semi-businessman as well, so if the numbers make sense, I would support it. And I think everything that staff has told us that the numbers make sense, the economics make sense, and if there's other future projects that make sense for us, I would support them as well. And there's also an element in solar production that's also good for emergency response, because if the solar panels are providing power that's stored in a battery and we lose the other means of power, whether it's electricity coming from the grid or fuel, and we have the mechanism to
You can summarize.
power our cars, our city cars that are powered with electricity, and we have the solar panels to do that in our community center, then we have a full control and ability to be able to have more resources during an emergency.
Thanks, Haining. Trent?
Okay, the climate is always changing, that is for sure. You know, we had an ice age 10,000 years ago, and no one knows why, but the climate's always changing. Is man contributed to it? Possibly. Yeah, there's some evidence to that. However, the United States is cleaning up this faster than anybody in the world. The industry makes all the difference in how we're doing our carbon reductions. The automobile industry, the appliance industry, lighting, building, all of the gains in reductions, if you really look at it, are coming from American industry. In fact, 80% of the pollutants are gone since 1980. We've eliminated them, 80%. Also, you can Google on us.gov the word carbon sink, and you can see that most of the United States, the vast majority of the United States, is now what's called a carbon sink, meaning it's sucking up more carbon in the trees than we're producing. And that's because we've grown our forests back since before 1900s. I would say I'm also in favor of visible and usable improvements. So the solar panels, they're visible and they're usable, so I'm fine with it.
Oh, yeah. Hang on just a second, Pete. There are discussions going on in the audience. Can you take it outside? That'd be helpful. It's distracting to the candidates. And also the audio is going into the mics. Pete?
Thank you. Years ago, when I was on the council, we started really down this path when we all voted for what we call the cool city. From there, we went to different venues. We had a committee to look at this. And is there climate change? Yeah, there's some climate change. Are we all contributing to it? Yeah, probably. But I think that as we're going through this and we've been made aware of these changes in the climate, that for one, the state of California, through what we call Title 24 in the Green Code, we are compelled to reduce our carbon footprint, so to speak, and we're going to see a drastic reduction in that, hopefully in the climate change. As we go through this in the year 2020, in 3 more years, the state of California is mandating that we have net zero homes. That will cost more money, but the state feels that that's good. I work in the building business and I see these technologies coming on board. And it's, when I tell people, really, this is an evolution, not a revolution. Some people at the beginning said, here's what we're going to do. But until we manufactured these products, it was too expensive. And as I tell people, every time you buy a new appliance, there's that little star on the box, you're helping with the climate. So I want to thank you. Thank you.